what was it like, meeting Stallman? Like, you've mentioned some stuff offline, but
Yeah.
you said he was a bit of a character, and it's very much like what you would expect Stallman to be.
So like we were at the front at the FSF. It was at the Boston Convention Center. I can't remember what it's called, but I was at the front having a cigarette, and I saw this guy walking up with belly, with a gut, nice guy, right? Yeah, belly, and, and he was with his, I think his girlfriend, I believe, or his partner, and walked up, and I'm like, holy, and he had a mask on. I was like, Richard, and he's like, hey, he's like, I don't know, it's really interesting. He's like, hey, how you going? Like, even though he's slower than that, he's more like, like he talks real slow, and he's like, really interesting guy. Obviously he's in his 70s or something now, right?
Yeah, I believe he is 70 now.
Yeah, we got a couple of photos together. I was pretty smitten, dude. I was pretty starstruck.
70.
Like, been using the dude's software for 40. Everyone's been using his software for years and years and years. And literally, you're on your phone, the GPL's everywhere. Like, you go to the about section, licenses, GPL's literally everywhere. But I think in the other video the other day about the licensing thing, I'll go back to what he was saying. But he only has 40 employees, I think, at the FSF. And
wow.
we were saying something about he's like, we're not a big organization. We only got 40 employees. Well, you did all that with 40 employees, like all that damage, not damage, but like all that, no, not damage. It's probably the word for it, is like all that creation, right? In the software industry with like such a team, right? Red Hat's probably got like what 70,000 or some crazy stuff.
I don't
completely different scenarios.
Red Hat employees. I know it's a ridiculous amount. They have 19,000 employees.
Oh, okay, yeah.
$1.6 billion. Oh, here we go. The total assets in 2018, $5.5 billion.
They've got a lot of. I mean, they're on Kubernetes, I think, as well. They've got
number 27 on the Fortune 500 companies. Yeah, Red Hat's a little bit big.
So Richard immediately, I think one of the early things, like, he was kind of concerned that maybe the conference, because he was quite late to the conference. He came on day 2, and I was obviously busy the day before. Nice. It was cool to meet him. Like, regardless of what everyone does, it's cool to meet someone that writes a lot of software, has had a massive impact on life in any case. And then I met him, and I'm like, he's an interesting guy. And we went into the conference, and dude, he watched a couple of talks, asked a couple of questions. We took a couple of pics, and he's just been and everyone was pretty receptive. Like, everyone there is they're all hardcore free software advocates.
Yeah.
I also met Hot Wheels. What's his name again? Frederick Brennan. Frederick Brennan was there as well. He started 8chan.
Oh.
Well, yeah, the QAnon thing, and then he was not before that. He started it. Real nice guy as well. Real nice guy. Hot Wheels. Yeah, you probably understand who he is. Yeah, Mad Dog. He doesn't own it anymore as well. He sold it. No, they stole it off him. I don't know what happened there. Complicated situation back in the day, but he was also there, which is pretty cool. Cool to meet him as well. And then meeting him and Richard in one day is pretty interesting.
And anytime anyone mentioned open source, I'm actually.
Oh yeah, every time open source and Linux. I don't think he interjected with the good news. Oh no, I think he did. Yeah. But I think it's in that talk about the interjection, and it's the real deal. And I think some people get pissed off about it, but if you read his book, I think the Freeze and Freedom book 2.0. I've read about half of it so far, but guys hasn't changed his mission in X amount of years. It's been static the whole time. And had that not been there, everyone knows that software would be a different ballgame right now. And there's a lot of push to like get away from GPL. People call it viral. It is viral, but people call it whatever they want. And I think there's people say it's on the way out, but then you look at who they work for, and it's like SUSE or something like that. It's like they're backed by like an MIT company or an Apache one or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to watch this whole play out.
I think it is accurate to say though that MIT, that side of it has definitely gotten a lot more momentum. Like GPL, it's still like, GPL v2, GPL v3, AGPL especially, or like these are all like really big licenses still, but they are absolutely dwarfed by the adoption of MIT and Apache and things like this.
Right. Yeah. The only difference is that if you look at like the in terms of maybe impact or like legacy software, things that have been there for a very, very long time. There's you know, I'm not 100% sure, but I definitely know that I think most of my code, if I go to /bin on my computer, most of it's all GPL. Well, probably because we're using free software, right? Definitely in a non-free thing, there'd be a lot more of it. Yeah, but I haven't used one for a while, so maybe I'll check it out. But yeah, definitely there's definitely a lot of MIT out there. And I think it's obviously growing, but yeah, I think we just need to not forget the GPL. I don't think it will be forgotten anyway, because a lot of people are proponents of free software, and it's going to live there forever. So,
well, I think free software is more like, this is one of the things you did mention the video the other day that I had. This is one of the like, free software is much more than just the FSF now. Like, it's the FSF was obviously an incredibly important component for founding this movement. And they exist now as this really extreme wing that shows you the conclusion of what free software can be, but there is this more moderate section that does interface with what you see with like the moderate free software interfaces a lot better and interacts a lot better with the open source side. There's more of a dialogue there as opposed to, open source misses the point of free software and the other like blogs and stuff like that Stallman's put out. And whether that's a good thing or not, that's up for debate. But there is certainly this growing this growing discussion happening here about what software should be. I don't know what your take on whether that's a good thing or not is, or were you?
I can tell you, for example, I think so. You've probably seen talks of Richard before, where he goes like, if you have any cell phones, don't take any photos because you want to be part of the botnet or whatever. But he was fine with taking photos the other day. So there is obviously, he understands that people out there. Like, I had my iPhone, I took a photo with my iPhone. Where he had no issue. He did no issues with that. And but the core, I think the core fundamentals part of it, I think he's definitely obviously solid on and never will. Immovable object, unstoppable force, which is the same thing, But yeah, the FSF, meeting him in person, they're really nice people, man. They're like, they don't appear like some of those blogs that are online. A lot of those old or legacy documentation, and not the documentation, but like FAQs back when things were a bit more militant or a bit more hostile or non. Back when things were a bit aggressive, there was a bit of an arms race for software licensing. I think maybe now that people are aware of both licenses, and the arms race maybe is a bit slower, or it's a bit more tame, that people actually understand that they do need free software for certain tasks, like missiles and bombs and things and tractors. But the other side of it is, there's a proprietary side of it, like, QNX, for example, QNX, BlackBerry's OS. So, he's definitely okay with, then he talks about specialist software, specialist programs and things like that. There's definitely a place for proprietary software. He's not definitely, the way I got it off him was, the way that I discussed it with him was, I think he mentioned that didn't have, there is specialized software out there that may be proprietary, that is just necessary. And I think in the case of farming, people maybe thought that farming software was a basic necessary thing. However, turns out that it's a full-blown GNU/Linux OS. And just uncovering these little hot pockets, I guess, of like industries that are maybe not abusing, but like using profusely GPL stuff in a certain way that may or may not be against the license, but they're definitely using free software, and maybe nobody knew about it before, things like that. And it's just a surprise. Yeah, he was really interesting, man. Really interesting guy. I didn't ask him about his past or anything, but it's interesting to see and see in the flesh. He's telling me something now.
So you feel like there's a bit of a disconnect between the image of Stallman, the image of the FSF, and the way that he acts when you talk to him in person.
Yeah, he's obviously a very cordial human being, and he gave us a business card, and I was like, business card? No, it's my pleasure card, like business pleasure. He's a pleasure card. I've got it in my phone.
Pleasure card sounds like a very different kind of card.
Yeah. But he's a nice dude. I'm happy that I met him. Like, happy that I met the dude who created the GPL, and it's definitely, I think the image of him online's a bit different. Everyone kept asking me, did he eat something on his foot? I'm like, no.
Everyone loves that video.
Yeah, people like bringing it up. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't see him eat his shoe, but he was wearing a mask the whole time, jacket up, had his T400. Sent me an email shortly after as well, just about the talk and some notes that he had. It's nice taking notes. But he had genuine questions. I think the image may be a little bit skewed. I think people maybe a bit too militant on the free, like the software foundation's only got like 40 employees, I think, or something.